Of Mosiua Lekota. Celebrations are also over, they say, and it's back to serious business of rebuilding the party and getting it ready for next year's national elections. Now, in our Johannesburg studio this morning, we have Mosiua Lekota. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Mr. Lekota, it seems the battle is won. Are these factional battles that have marred your party the last 5 years, is that now a thing of the past?
Certainly, yes. Yeah. In fact, what the court has done is has been to reconfirm the decision of the inaugural Congress, which put in place a Congress National Committee, at the head of which was myself. So there have been in the intervening period attempts to scupper that, but we prevailed.
I think a lot of people are interested in why this process was so long, and I think from a personal point of view, what really led to the breakdown between yourself and in this case, Mr. Shilowa?
No, it was not really a personal issue. It was a fact that COPE has got a constitution. In terms of that constitution, the inaugural Congress put in place a Congress National Committee, at the head of which was myself. But then shortly after the Congress, some elements contrived to parachute somebody into the leadership of the party, quite contrary to the provisions of the Constitution and so on. That fractured leadership generally. Yeah. By the time the Reverend Dandala was, withdrew himself from this situation, the fractured leadership was not easy to put together again. So we had to approach the courts to assist in resolving the issue. So we are glad that it's behind us now. And it's just, we have to apologize to our followers and supporters that it took such a long time and that in the process cost us a certain amount of loss of goodwill from the side of you of the public. But I think that the fact that we persisted, that we were able to prove that we were correct, and that there has to be respect for the Constitution. Constitutionalism is very important, and the values in the party. I think the fact that we did that and did that faithfully and succeeded must say to the electorate, these are men and women we can entrust, that if they give their word, they will stick to it and they will do everything to fulfill it.
Now, I read that internal elections will go ahead early next year. Will this happen at a very disciplined Congress this time?
Well, the judgment of the court makes clear there's only one Congress of the people, and it is the one that is led by the leadership that was put in place in Bloemfontein, and that is led by myself in Parliament, and so on. So we remain committed to fulfilling the mandate we were given in 2008, that we must take the party to its first National Congress, at which, among other things, a democratically elected leadership must result. We had a meeting of the Congress National Committee this Sunday, we finished yesterday, and resolved that there's still time inside the mandate that was given, that should be done. And we are going to do everything to ensure that we are in a position to do that.
And the elections next year, again, short time frames like the last time you had a short time frame to turn it around. What can we expect as you build up to the general election next year?
Well, first of all, let me say that you'll recall that the last time we had no structures in the provinces when we went into the election. This time we are going into the elections with branch structures, with regional structures, provincial structures, and a national structure. We have public representatives at national, in the provinces, as well as local government. We are in a much better position now to mount a very competent election campaign. And although many people don't realize, in the intervening period, the Congress of the People has developed very deep and strong roots in various communities. And I do say that as a result of the serious failings of the ruling party in government, local government, failure to deliver and all of that, the state of the national executive, the state of the national administration, and so on. More people feel today that the Congress of the People was right in projecting that under this administration, the country was heading for hard times. So I think we'll have much more sympathy and support from the communities.
Now, I have to digress a little bit to a different point, which is the Arms Deal Commission. And Janji Chake put me on the spot a little bit earlier. Yeah. He wanted me to ask you to put on your former defense minister's hat,
yes,
and tell us if you are going to go and give evidence at the Arms Deal Commission, and if so, what can we expect you to come up with there?
Well, first of all, let me say this. I have been subpoenaed. So by virtue of a subpoena, I have to go and appear. Nevertheless, there are problems. First of all, it must be remembered that I served in the subcommittee on cabinet on defense with others in that committee. And that whatever was decided in the committee was not my decisions, it was decisions of the committee as a whole. So essentially, this, I cannot have my own story separate from the story of the subcommittee.
Yeah.
And because we were in government service, we are entitled to defense that we are satisfied with to be able to deal with that. So I will, if it is persisted, we are negotiating this at the present time. If it is insisted that you have to appear, I will go and appear. But I have questions to the commission. Yeah.
What are some of those questions? And do you get a sense, or do you are one of those people that believe that this commission is fighting for its credibility?
I think that first of all, it doesn't seem to me that the commission is sticking to what I understood to be the mandate of the commission, namely to establish whether there was corruption in the, whether there was corruption in the arms deal. Well, already there is an allegation there was, so it must establish who could have committed that corruption.
Yeah.
Now, I have never said to the commission, I have information on who committed corruption in the arms deal, because I don't have such information. So given that mandate, I'm not sure what I would be expected to say if I'm invited to this commission. Secondly, I haven't heard that there's anybody who has alleged that I myself committed corruption. I would consider that I'd have to be subpoenaed to answer if there was an allegation, but no allegations like that have been made, as I understand the situation against myself at this stage. So I am in some difficulty about this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm sure that it'll be very interesting how this process proceeds over the next few months. But thank you for joining us this morning on Newsroom.
Thank you very much. A privilege indeed, yes.
Thank you. That, of course, is the now leader, unequivocally so, leader of COPE, the Congress of the People, Mr. Mosiua Lekota, joining us here on Newsroom this morning.